if you know what this tool is, you no doubt have worked around hydraulic cylinders or pumps of various sorts and kinds. In this particular video, we're going to take this Max spanner wrench, operates much like a pair of scissors or chopsticks, kinda. We're going to modify this thing and make it a lot better than what it is. It's a good design, it's an okay design, but we're going to modify this thing to where it can be used on larger diameter cylinders than what it's capable of doing, and also make it more effective and easier to use. I'm Jody, this is Russ Lover's Garage. Thanks for spending some time on my channel. As we get started, or before we get started, the hand is still coming along. We're still in rehab. Doctors are beginning to let me do a little bit more, and that's why it's been a little bit of time that I've been able to get a video out, because the things that I've got available to work on and things that I want to work on is just, I can't do it one-handed, and fear of re-injuring this hand or injuring it right after surgery, it's not something I don't really want to deal with. But nonetheless, I've got a friend of mine that came by. He's cut up some steel per my directions. I can't hold it, cut it, operate saw and all that mess, but I can clamp things down and weld with one hand. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this tool a little bit bigger for a wider range of products that it could work on. I'm actually going to do two of these. This is the larger of the two that I have, but I'm only going to video it one time because I'm going to do the exact same thing to the second tool, although on a smaller scale. So let's go ahead and get over here to the welding table. Let me lay everything out and explain exactly what we're doing. Now, I'm not going to assume that everybody understands how a spanner wrench is actually used or what the purpose is, but if you've ever worked around hydraulic pumps, water pumps of any type, or hydraulic cylinders, you no doubt have seen this tool. But for the sake of the video, and just also to show my poor drawing skills, let's look at this circle here. This could be either the end of a packing gland on a pump. Get this thing backed out where we get a little better picture. Or it could be the end of a hydraulic cylinder. In either case, this hole in the center here, that's where a shaft's going to come through. It could be a rotating shaft again on a pump. It could be a static shaft on a cylinder that would have some kind of eye on it or whatnot. You're either going to have little holes here. In this case, the spanner wrench we're working on, that's what we're going to be dealing with. You're going to have holes in the end of this thing, in this keeper, in this gland end. And what happens is these ends actually go right here, and it gives you an opportunity to turn and unscrew the end of the cylinder, or the end of the pump. So these things are typically relatively small and about a 3-inch circle or 4-inch circle, but some of your larger equipment, Caterpillar loaders, JBLs, and all of those type things, those have very large bore cylinders, which would cause these holes to be much further apart. Well, as you saw earlier in the video, how small the reach was on this particular spanner wrench. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this arm and this arm and put it into a fashion to where it could actually reach a much larger span and also give you more leverage. So as we get the metal laid out here, we'll get it tacked together, and then it's a little bit different the way this particular tool needs to be used, and I'll go through that once we get it completed. All right. This is what we've come up with in the way of a tool. As you can tell, the backside's been cut out and we welded it onto these two legs and turned it over. This is 1/2 inch square tubing. We've doubled it up mainly because it's narrow, but it's plenty enough strength, you know, to break these things loose. Also, we've got one leg on this side here. And again, as you can see in the drawing, it's kind of not real good, but you can tell if these were holes where we needed to work with the spanner wrench, this thing is more than capable of going in and catching something in the way of a 6 to 10 inch diameter cylinder, and you can work the thing off. Again, we want to work it from the bottom, and let me get the camera readjusted and I'll show you exactly what we're talking about there. To get to this part of the video, it has taken about 4 weeks. Today is the first day that I've actually been allowed to be out of my brace and my finger support. We're making progress there. Not where we need to be yet. Still can't really control the grip and a lot of the small motor functions, but we're working on it and the doctor seems to be happy with it. So, got a few things we can work on, but I wanted to talk a little bit about our spanner wrench tool that we've got here. The way this thing is actually to be used is in this fashion. So if you can envision you guys looking at me, you're looking down the barrel towards the end of the cylinder. You do not want to have this thing this way because this is a single, this area right here is a single piece of tubing, and you potentially could bend it or break it right here behind where it's welded, where my index finger is. This thing's designed to actually be used in this fashion where this piece of metal is actually doubled up. So you're 1/2 inch, a little more because of the OD of the tubing. And you want to be pulling down in this fashion to twist. And then to put back on, you'd actually flip it over and work it this way. So again, we've just modified a spanner wrench, made it better. You've got a lot more leverage here because before this thing was only about 10 inches long. Now we're 24 inches long. So you can get a lot more leverage. And there are times when that does not really matter. You can take the little smaller piece, get it in there, and maybe take a piece of pipe and work it. You're still working leverage. But where we run into problems, and I'm seeing this more and more with hydraulic cylinders, is that those end caps are aluminum. The barrel that the cylinder actually operates out of is steel. And anytime you have those unlike metals twisted together with threads, inevitably they're going to try to fuse together. You have thermal cycling going on with the hydraulic oil. You do that in the summertime is really worse because you're working it just like us. We work out in the heat. We're hotter then than we would be in the wintertime. But that thermal cycling and the back and forth movement, just the vibration itself, is going to cause those threads to tighten up. So you want something with leverage that you can control. You can certainly control this because it'll fit really good in your hand. You have to add some heat, and those things will back themselves out. Again, I apologize for it taking so long to get a video out, but one-handed, there's just so much you can do in the shop. We are making progress. I've got a couple, 3 things coming up that's going to be very interesting, I think, for you guys, especially if you like Ford trucks and you like NASCAR, especially old NASCAR. So you'll want to stick around for that, guys. I'm doing the best I can. We've got a video that I'm going to release next that is prompted by a conversation I had with 2 young guys that are like 17, 18 years old. Most folks think those guys are all into your fuel injected and your LS stuff or your fuel injected 4 cylinders and turbos and all that. But I had an extremely interesting conversation with 2 young men not long ago, and it's going to prompt me to put some information out in the next video for those guys. But more importantly, hey, I may mention something that you guys have forgotten or show you something that maybe you didn't know. I don't know. But nonetheless, I appreciate you spending time here in the garage with me. And as always, God bless.